Roxella TV. Roxella TV. Roxella TV. Roxella TV. Roxella TV.
You first met the Beatles in '65. You went backstage. Some of the Beach Boys went backstage to meet them. Is that where you first forged that affinity with George, or did that come later in India?
Well, more so in India, but you know, when we met them in Portland, we talked about cars and girls. And it was funny because Lennon's voice was out, and when we come to this certain part of the song, everybody shake their heads, they all scream, and they won't hear anything. It was pretty funny. But you know, Carl Wilson loved the English cars, and so did I. I had a. Oh wow! Oh wow! What did I do?
I caught your shoe there.
Oh, son of a gun! Rookie move.
Okay. Sorry. You can
We'll come back. So you were saying Carl Wilson.
Carl Wilson had an Aston Martin DB5, you know, back in the day. I had a 48 MG, 39 Rolls, and two Jaguars, an XKE and a sedan. And they were all yellow, except the Rolls Royce was a little brown and something. Anyway, so we loved, I've always been an Anglophile when it comes to cars. I mean, I love other cars too, but we talked about cars and girls and touring and stuff like that. That was originally. But when we were taught meditation by Maharishi in December of '67, mind you, this is the year after Good Vibrations went to #1 in Great Britain. And so between Pet Sounds and Sgt. Pepper, there was a bit of, you know, positive rivalry, you know. And when I was invited to go to India, I'd never been. I said, well, I'd only been meditating for 3 weeks maybe when Maharishi invited me. And he said, oh, bring the other guys. He said, well, I don't know if they'll come, but I'll be there. And when I got there, all the Beatles were there, and Mia Farrow and Donovan. And Donovan just is still very much involved in meditation. George loved his meditation, loved Maharishi, but he also was a devotee of the Hare Krishna people, which gave rise to the song My Sweet Lord. And so when I recorded Pisces Brothers, I wanted the girls' sound, because in the chorus of My Sweet Lord, there were the girls going Hare Krishna, Hare Rama. I wanted that sound. So I asked my daughter Haley to come and sing on it, and she has this fantastic voice. And she was there at the Grammy Museum when we sang together. And so I was, you know, I just love her voice on there, and it's a tribute to George Harrison and his beliefs and what was important to him. And I even talked about a couple of his songs. Some say his guitar gently weeps, or, you know, Little Darling, Here Comes the Sun. So, you know, it was just a reflection about George as a person and the soul he is and the great guy he was.
Did you have deeper conversations with him in India, do you recall?
Oh, yeah. Yes, I did. He and John Lennon was amazingly insightful and asked these incredible questions of Maharishi. And you could see his intellect was on 24 hours a day. It's like he really wanted to know what was going on.
Well, George and John stayed the longest.
Yeah.
I think Ringo went back because the food was too spicy.
But his wife was pregnant with Zach.
There you go. So that's another reason. But how long did you stay?
About a month and a half, I'd say. And Maharishi told me, you should stay and become a teacher. And because it was a teacher training program, I didn't even know this. I was so new to meditation when he invited me, hey, I'm coming. But I didn't know it was a teacher training course. It was to train people to become teachers of TM, because Maharishi wanted to teach enough people to where it could make a difference in the world. So he couldn't do it by himself. So he structured these teacher training courses. Thousands of people have done it over the years. But that time was one of the earlier courses. And when I had no idea what it was when I got there, but I became aware of it once I was there. And I carried the notepad and I made the notes, and we meditated for hours a day. At that point in time, dear Prudence Farrow, she was amazing. Maharishi should say, how many meditated for an hour? How many for 2 hours? How many for 4 hours? How many for 6 hours? And the most I ever meditated was probably 80 hours. I didn't keep a track of it, but it was all day and all night long. I mean, it's like, at that point in time, people were encouraged to meditate as much as it was comfortable. Prudence didn't come out for like 3 days. She was meditating. I mean, she's serious about her meditation. In fact, she's one of the more active TM teachers in the world. She lives in the panhandle of Florida, and she's a great, great lady. She has a degree in Sanskrit, a PhD in Sanskrit from the University of California at Berkeley. I mean, she's really smart and really intensely into teaching meditation and all of that.
Now, you were there for your birthday, and you had some
I
special
was.
troubadours, right? You said
Oh
some-
man, that was a mind-blowing
us about
thing.
that.
Yeah, well, George's birthday and my birthday, his was February 25th, mine's March 15th. Therefore, we're Pisces, and therefore Pisces brothers. It was fascinating because for my birthday, not only did George gave me a painting of Maharishi's teacher, who's called Gurudev. His name is Swami Brahmananda Saraswati, and but they call him Gurudev for short. And I have a painting in my home that was given to me by George on my birthday, and all the guys that were remaining there, you know, like Harrison and Lennon and McCartney and I think Donovan was involved in the chicanery too. They were playing a song called Spiritual Regeneration Movement Foundation, and at the end of it, they said, "We want to thank you, Michael. You know, happy birthday, Michael Love. Happy birthday, Michael Love. Love." You can hear John Lennon there really clearly, and it was fantastic. It was like a archetypical Beach Boy. You know, it was like fun in a spiritual way. So that was an amazing thing. They gave me that tape for my birthday.
Oh, they gave you the tape.
Yeah, and there was an Italian film crew that filmed it. So there is footage that exists somewhere in the world.
Well, I hope I'm pronouncing this name right. One of the songs on the record. It's a really interesting song, and it's one George would have liked, which is it Ram Raj?
Ram Raj. See, there's Krishna 5,000 years ago. Rama was 20,000 years ago. And so it is fascinating because it's as a result of going to this temple in southern India, in the state of Tamil Nadu. There's a temple there that has literally a gold dome. It's thousands of years old. These columns holding up this building and quarried stone with a language other than Sanskrit on it. I mean, the language in that area is Tamil, but there's a language that predates Sanskrit and Tamil called, I believe it's called Ganda or Gandakshara. And so I make reference to this because this place is so mystical. And what it is they built this temple where Lord Rama, to the Hindus, Rama is a god. He's an incarnation of the Vishnu. And so there's a triumvirate. There's Brahma, the creator, Vishnu, the maintainer, and Shiva, the destroyer. So there's these three principles active in nature, but in Hinduism, it's all spiritual. So many names of gods and goddesses, and I mean, the wind is Vayu, you know. Space is, I mean, it's amazing. It's an amazing philosophy, amazing religion, and it comes from the Vedas. And the Vedas is just the truth and truth of existence. And there's several different Vedas. Well, to make a long story short, this temple is mind-blowing. It's huge, enormous, and it's been around. I asked a priest, "Just how long has this temple been here?" He says, "No one knows for sure, but at least 10,000 years old." He said, "Lord Rama worshipped here during the Treta Yuga 20,000 years ago." So it's just, what was going on 20,000 years ago? What, saber-toothed tigers and woolly mammoths? Well, there was a lot of gnarly stuff going on in India at that time too. And so there's a book called the Ramayana that tells some of the tales of what was going on there. So it's just such a fascinating experience to go there and witness and be witness in the inner sanctum this idol of a God known as Lord Narayana, who apparently gave birth to the Creator through the navel. I mean, it's, you know, it's not stuff that Judaism, Christianity would be too, you know, understanding of. However, it's a tradition that goes back thousands and thousands of years, and my fascination with philosophy and religion was really titillated by being there, because, I mean, they don't have electric lights. They show you the deity with lamps of ghee. Ghee is clarified butter, and it burns, and they show you in candlelight or ghee lamps. So in the sacred lamps of ghee, it seems that you know, I don't know. The words of the Ramraj are, you know, pretty mystical and have to do with a whole other civilization that's been going on for many millennia.
Yeah, it's a beautiful song.
Thank you.
Production is really, really good on that song.
Thank
as well.
you.
Yeah. Brian's Back is a song that's been around for quite a while.
Quite a while.
I think in the early 70s you wrote the song, or
Well, you know,
mid-70s?
yeah, they had a campaign called Brian's Back with when we were with Warner Brothers, and around that time, see, Brian's had his ups and downs mentally and emotionally and all that. So I wrote that back then. It was an ode to the time when we were very young and you know, had loved music. We would sit in his, it talks about it in the song, it would sit in his Nash Rambler, the seats would fold back, and we'd turn on the radio and we'd listen to, you know, all this music from you know, mainly R&B and early rock and roll. And my dad would have to go to work so early, he'd kick us out of the house because we were making too much noise listening to music. So, you know, it goes back to those times. We'd go to football games together, and, you know, we went to, I remember one time we were allowed to invite a friend to go with us to a senior trip to Catalina Island, and I brought Brian. So it was like that. We shared a lot of experiences together, and so I wrote that Brian's Back from that perspective, you know, to, I mean, we wrote Good Vibrations, all these great things together, you know, so a lot of people, I've read, some stuff has been read to me about blogs. They don't understand why I'm, you know, doing a song called Brian's Back or putting it on the album because I fired Brian from the 50th anniversary tour or something. And it's just stupidity is what it is. And people have their computers and they get obsessed, but I didn't fire Brian from anything. So, and I always gonna love Brian for what we did together, and everything is never, with human beings, is never perfect. And when drugs enter the picture, then, you know, who knows what can happen.
Rock Salad TV. 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 Rock Salad TV.